and just like go into their culture a little bit. So the first one is Algeria. If y'all notice in the official languages, French is not included. They have Arabic and then the Algerian dialect. Nope, it's just for y'all to know, just to hear about because I think it's interesting. So they have an Algerian dialect of Arabic, which is a little bit different. I don't speak Arabic, so I can't tell you all the differences. And then they also have a language that's just local to that country, which is Tamazight, I think is how you pronounce that. So, how does French fall into Algeria? They use it as a language of instruction. So in a lot of schools, they just teach in French. But in all of the schools, the science classes are taught in French. And this is because if you want to be a doctor, med school, all of the classes are taught in French. So all of the doctors speak French. And this is because a lot of people in Algeria, they'll actually go to France for med school, and then they come back to their home country and work as doctors there. That's why you need to know French, is because a lot of the time they do go to France for med school. Okay, they are part of l'Union du Maghreb Arabe, so the UMA, and the Maghreb is a combination of 5 Arabic-speaking African countries. It's Libya, Tunisia, Mauritania, and then this country, and Morocco. So all of those countries have their own very distinct culture. And the reason that they first formed it was to gain independence from their coloners, or from the people that colonized them. So they all got independence around the same time in 1960. So think about that. These are young countries. This became Algeria its own independent country in 1960. That wasn't that long ago. Just to give y'all like a thought of like how long their country was controlled by other people. Now why would other countries want to control Algeria? They have natural gas and they have petroleum. 2 things very, very important around the world. Algeria is actually the 4th largest exporter of natural gas and the 9th largest exporter of petroleum. And that's why, like, I'm not saying it's right, but that was the motivation behind countries like France trying to control that country. They were trying to get all of that gas to their country and get it as cheap as possible and then make as much money as they could off of another country's land. So I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about some of the celebrations that they have. So the first one, they have one for their Independence Day. For that time, they became their own nation in 1960. And they always have this thing called Un Spectacle. Did you guys ever talk about Un Spectacle? It just means like a show, so like a performance. So there's this big performance where they had the Olympic Games in Algeria. So this is basically just like on a field. They do different cultural displays, there's dances, and I have a video of an example for that. And they also have a celebration for the Algerian Revolution, which happened a little bit before that. And I have another example, and it's like basically this tradition that they have. They put this like light display up on the Capitol building, and it's really cool. So I'll show you all the videos for that. The first one is for Independence Day.
Chorégraphie, très simple, mais jolie, et que le public
Yeah, I don't
apprécie.
have to understand. It's just saying really simple choreography, but it's really beautiful. And I'm just going to skip through this because some of it's long because there's a whole lot of people. But this is the stadium where they held a lot of the summer Olympic Games in Algeria. This is really similar to a color guard performance, like if I could compare it to something that we do in the US. So that's just them getting out onto the field. It takes them a hot minute to get on the field.
Viennent se joindre à ce spectacle, ajoutant des couleurs et de la lumière à cette expression féminine.
So it's kind of like an Arab take on like a color guard uniform, just to show their culture. And throughout it, they get different formations and all of that. And I know it doesn't seem that impressive, but think about, that's like hundreds of women all doing the exact same thing, basically, at the exact same time. That took like months of preparation. And it's something that happens every single year to celebrate Independence Day. And then they're changing formations. to give y'all a feel of it. The second one I think is super, super cool and interesting. This is a lights show that's displayed on their Capitol building. And those are the people that really in charge of it. It's about to show their logo. It takes a minute to start up, so skip ahead to where it actually gets interesting. And then throughout this, they're gonna start like going through the revolution. So like it's gonna be showing like really big images, and it's gonna be showing old political leaders and stuff. So just like icons of the revolution. So this is all really symbolic. I don't really know a lot about Algeria's history, but this is all just like symbols of their history. And then the Cran leaders. And this is where they start like going through old pieces of history. This is just to show y'all. I thought it was really cool. This is a tradition that they show every single year, so this is always in front of the Capitol building. It's always a really big deal. I just wanted to show y'all that. So I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, the next country I'm going to talk to you guys about is Cameroon. Cameroon, if y'all look on your map, it's a pretty tiny country as well. And it only has 2 official languages, and they're English and French. So the reason that they're French and English is after World War I, the Society of Nations decided that this country would be under the delegation of the French and the English until it could like gain an economy, form like some sort of like Declaration of Independence, and start their own thing. So this is like basically it was France and England's job to help them get their footing. They got their independence from France in 1960, and then they got their independence from England in 1961. That's why they speak French and English, and that's why those are the 2 instead of like some sort of native dialect. So the capital is Yaoundé, and this is a picture. They're marching in Yaoundé right here. And they're part of l'Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie. And this is just an organization that all French-speaking countries are a part of. And it's just explaining that they're also part of this organization because they are a predominantly French-speaking nation. So their nickname, their surnom, is l'Afrique en miniature, or like miniature Africa. Because like I said, the country is really small, but it's surrounded by all of these other countries with a lot of different cultures. So if you go to this country, you can find so many different cultures in one place. And they also have different types of geographical regions, like so many. It's really strange for like one small country. And that's why they call it like mini Africa. Their exportations, they have the bois camerounais, which is just like Cameroon wood. So when you have wood like this, it's like this nice. It's usually used for like really nice tables and stuff like that. That's why I added that as an export. They also have bananas, cocoa, coffee, very important. I don't know how much coffee I'll drink, but y'all see I drink like 4 cups of coffee every day. It's not including after school. And they also have cotton. So the only one that I found that was like regularly celebrated other than regular stuff like Mother's Day was their Fête Nationale, or they call it Fête de l'Unité, which is basically like their Independence Day. And they always have this big, beautiful parade that goes down the main street in Yaoundé, and that's what this is. So they'll just have like bands and stuff. There's also a military procession, but I thought that that was prettier. So that's basically what they do. So most countries for their Independence Day, they do something similar to ours. Well, we, I guess, copy them sometimes too. But that's Cameroon. I don't have any videos for them. Okay, the last country I want to talk to you guys about is about Gabon. because this is going to be the country that's going to be talked about a lot in the documentary y'all are going to watch tomorrow. They talk about this country the most. That's why I didn't add that much, because they're going to be talking about it a lot. So, the only official language in Gabon is French. France has had a stronghold over Gabon for a really long time, and they've basically had a stronghold for them. I don't know, they might still be interfering with that country. Their capital is Libreville, which means Freedom Town, kind of ironic. Their exportations are manganese. Do y'all remember learning about that chemistry class? That's one of the elements. It's just manganese. Because I thought it was magnesium too, so I had to look it up. But this is something that can be put into a bunch of different stuff. I listed out some of it on my notes. I know that you can use it to make aluminum. If you put it in bronze, it'll like prevent it from corroding, which is a lot more important than you would think it would be. It's also used to make batteries. You can also use it to make steel, which is really important. Think about like buildings. Everything needs steel in it somehow. And yeah, I already said the attic with bronze thing and batteries. And also the reason that I put manganese on here is because France for a really long time pretty much controlled all of that. Like they pretty much brought it into their country, were making sure they could get it for cheap, and then they were able to make like a pretty hefty profit out of it. And then they also have petroleum and natural gas, two extremely vital things for the modern world, and iron. So the celebration I wanted to talk about is La Fête de la Musique, and this is something that actually happens in all Francophone countries. All Francophone countries have La Fête de la Musique. Like I was there when Nice was celebrating theirs, and it's basically like everyone's flooding the streets, there's music everywhere, there's DJs in the balcony, there's bands in every single bar. It's a great time. And the purpose of this is for each country to have like their country's artists playing their music and celebrating like their country's music and culture. So that was basically the poster that they had for 2015. I thought it was cool. And I have two different performances for y'all from Gabon's Fête de la Musique. This goes on like throughout the day and at night. So the first one was something that happened at night, and they were like one of the star performers. These guys are really big pop stars in Gabon. So their French sounds totally different, but it's still interesting. And he's singing in French. He's just singing a love song. So yeah, that was just an example of that. And then I'll show you this other girl that's singing. She's also a really big pop star. And she's playing during the day, obviously. Because there's a bunch of different stadiums. So she's in an outside stadium, and he was in someone's other stadium.